welcome to Picture Book Chat. I'm Mary Ellen Brax, and I'm the Public Services Manager for Early Learning. And with me today is Sheri Boggs. Hi, Sheri.
Hi, Mary Ellen. How are you?
Good, good. It's good to be back again and talking about more books.
We've got some good ones.
Yes, and Sheri, just for a reminder, she is our youth collection development librarian, and she gets to order all the fun books that we see in the library and use every day. So thank you for all your hard work, Sheri. This is
You're so welcome. I love a job where I get paid to sit and look at picture books
yeah.
because I get to look at them when they come in addition to ordering them. So fun.
Yes. So what do you want to start with today?
I want to tell you about Snails Arc. I've got kind of a glare on this, but so this is Snails Arc. It starts with this opening spread. Esther woke early. Her antlers waved. The air was sharp like before a storm. Something was happening, something big. And as you look at this, if you've been raised in the, Judeo-Christian tradition, you know that there's an ark down here. I love that this is a Noah's Ark story told from the point of view of a snail. As the story progresses, she's just kind of faced with what is going on. Like there's all these huge thundering animals coming by. She can hear the sounds of their hoofbeats. She can feel it in the ground. Of course, it's terrifying when you're that small. There's all these birds in the air. So they're all racing to get to the ark. And what I love about this is I grew up in a fairly not religious background. And I feel like this book is accessible whether or not you know the story of Noah's Ark or not. You could just read it on the level of, why do you think all these animals are trying to get on that big boat?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a friendship story too. Later in the book, she runs to go find her friend who is a fellow snail to get him to get on the ark. And of course, being snails, you're wondering how they're ever going to pull this off, but they get an assist from Mother Nature.
Yes.
Or God, I guess if you're reading it from the from the Judeo-Christian perspective. So I like that, it's spiritual in the sense that the snail prays a couple of times, for help, to be protected from the animals thundering by, and to get to the boat. But it's not overt. I feel like it's on a level that small kids can relate to. I don't know. What do you think, Mary Ellen?
I liked it. I thought, I really liked the perspective because when I looked at it, I didn't at first make the connection until I started reading it. But it was just one of those things that it just didn't dawn on me since it didn't have Noah's Ark in the title or that. So, but then as I read through it, I found it very interesting. It was from the snail's perspective. At one point, you do see people working on the boat.
Oh, yeah.
So at the very beginning, before you even get to the story starting. So I really did. I love the illustrations in it. I thought the artist was wonderful. And I think there's lots of appeal for the kids. That and then I thought the ending was interesting where they just land in the rocks and then it doesn't go anywhere after that. And I wasn't sure how I felt about that. But then I thought, well, that leaves it. What do you think is happening next? So they can continue the story. So that's an activity that you can do with that. What do you think? How do you think the animals got out of the ark? What do you think happened next? It would, and I could see you using it for an introduction to an animal unit since you see so many animals throughout the picture too. Yeah, I mean, the illustrations, the artwork is absolutely beautiful. I like that kind of bright, but it's got a little bit of a darkness to it, but everything still stands out so that it's not so it doesn't seem overly dark, I guess.
Right, right.
And the
Like
end
just,
pictures are beautiful on this too. I
oh,
thought
they really
the
are.
wind and the water and the waves in the background. Yeah, I thought that was just gorgeous. So, so yeah, it was very different than anything I've seen before. And I liked that about it.
Yeah, like I don't know, you can probably answer this better than I could, how well this would be in any kind of like story time sharing, but I felt like this would be like a good one-on-one book
Yeah.
for a parent and child. I feel like it works
Mhm.
really well, just kind of on a small
Yeah.
scale.
Yeah,
Did
I
you have
thought so
thoughts about
too.
that?
Yeah, I thought, yeah, a smaller group so they could see the
Mhm.
details in the picture. So it might be really good for Sunday school classroom.
Mhm.
Too, just as something to read that's more accessible to preschoolers. And yeah, I could see that working really well with a small group or one-on-one on the lab so they can really look at the pictures.
Yeah. When you were talking about the art, I remember I was looking at the back just to see how they were done, and it's layers of um, paper shapes with painting on them, but then they were digitally layered in Photoshop,
Oh, neat.
which I thought was fascinating. And I thought this could be kind of a fun art activity to maybe make landscapes with different cutouts of paper.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Like
great
on this
idea.
page, like I
Oh,
just
yeah.
love that all those different trees kind of put together makes a landscape. And I don't know, that could be kind of a fun activity too.
Yeah, and it almost makes it look like there's movement with the wind,
Yeah.
the way they did that. So I really like that too. Yeah. Yeah, I thought this was a really beautiful book. I don't know if I would have picked it up. Um, I mean, I probably would have just because I think the cover is very appealing. Um, but yeah, it might not have jumped out at me right away. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was one when it came in, I was just kind of like, huh, but I was really kind of charmed by it as I looked through it. I think just the way they portrayed the snails, like they're just super cute and appealing.
Yeah.
Like, so that, that's kind of what draws me into the
Yeah.
whole story. And so I wonder if it'd have that same effect like on kids.
Yeah, well, and I love that they picked up on the snail versus one of the bigger animals too. So yeah, like an insect. So yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I thought that was a good, very different perspective. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, I think we've said everything we can
Yeah.
say about Snails Arc. Do you have one you want to share with me, Mary Ellen?
Oh yeah, I really liked If You Live Here.
Oh yes.
This story talks about have you ever imagined what it would be like to live? And then they give different examples. Like this one, it starts out like if you lived in a tree house, and then it goes on to you'll need to be a good listener. And then if you live on a spaceship, and then it tells you keep curious, for there is wonder all about. So it goes through different scenarios. If you live on a train, and if you lived in a burrow, I thought this page was fascinating. Everyone.
Oh, totally.
So I think the pictures have a lot of real kid appeal. There's a lot of detail in the pictures. And then I just loved how it kept going. If you lived in a candy store, if you live in a garden, and it, there's a farm. So it's all these different places. And then, I mean, they even have like an apartment building. And when you get back down to I love the ending of it. And they kind of end with, if you live in a nest, you need to be ready to leave when it's time. And then if you live in a house, may you have many books and nooks in which to read them. And then the last page is, and if you live in a book, you'll always have a good story to tell. So, just warms our little librarian hearts, right?
Exactly. Speaking our language.
Yes, but I mean, I thought the artwork really appealed to me in this one too.
It's Christian Robinson, and he's done so many great picture books in the last. I think there's one that we did.
Or
Maybe Christopher
Silas Neal.
Oh, I got his name wrong. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But yeah, no, no, I thought this was really, I mean, you can see it'll draw kids into the book, I thought, and this would be a great one. I think you could read it aloud easily. You could, but it'd be a great one for one-on-one or a really small group as you picked out different things in the pictures. So definitely a preschool book, I thought.
Yeah, the details in the pictures I just loved, especially you already pointed out the burrow page, but I want to come back to that because if you look carefully, there are things that you'll see later in the story. Some of the visual motifs are carried throughout the entire book. There's an octopus here in this burrow that you see a couple times later in the story. The piles of books you see all throughout. I think you see the mice on probably most of the pages. The dragon makes an appearance on a couple of them. So I think for those kids that like kind of the I Spy element of books, I think this will be a lot of fun to try to find the different things that repeat on different pages.
Yeah. And I also thought it's a great one to talk about where else can you think of to live? And then you can have them draw and write about that. And, you know, what would they need to keep in mind if they were living in that place? So you could take this quite a long way. So, yeah.
I think that's something kids love to imagine.
Yes.
Is what it would be like to live, you know, like in the grass in your yard or
you're right.
I always imagined like what I would do if my parents forgot me and I was stuck and I had to like live in the woods. I was always kind of planning like, okay, I need this and this and this. And so I think this is a great book for imagination. And I agree, like it's a great conversation starter for, you know, if you know, lived in the ocean, what do you think you would need?
Yes.
For kids and parents to talk back and forth.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, a good one. And again, the end papers were just fun and bright.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like that one a lot. So.
Did you see the cat on the back?
Oh,
so great.
Yeah.
I think that was for the, like, if you live in a dollhouse page, you need to be tiny. That's a good one. Are you ready for another one?
I am.
I think I would like to tell you about Everything Will Be Okay. And of course, like coming out of the pandemic and with war in the world, when I saw this on the shelf, it was just kind of like, oh,
yeah,
maybe I hope everything will be okay. And I think, you know, for kids, it can be such a scary time, you know, just if they get whiffs of the news, like if it's on TV or just kind of picking up worry from their parents. What I love about this book, it's by Anna Dewdney and Judy I can't say her name, Schachner. It's a hard one. And this, I like this team. Anna Dewdney, of course, passed away a few years ago. She was the author of the Llama books.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then Judy Schachner did the Skippy John Jones books. So they're kind of both, you know, giants in the picture book world. And I think this pairing is really good. And it starts with, you know, kind of small scale upsets. Like on this page, is there jelly on your bread when you wanted cheese instead? There's nothing yummy packed today. Sometimes nothing goes your way. Everything will be okay. So it immediately kind of drops you into a child's perspective of just the, you know, the major bummers that can seem kind of minor to an adult, you know, but they're a big deal in a kid's world. Like in this one, did your brother take your flute so there's nothing left to toot? He doesn't even like to play. You guess you love him anyway, and everything will be okay. And so it moves from that into kind of, you know, like little upsets to medium upsets to like really big, scary, you know, where's my mom, where's my dad kind of, you know, troubles. And I think the artwork is really appealing. I think the bunny is, like the main character is one that, oh my gosh, there's a cat on the screen.
Right when you said cat, she appeared.
Did she?
Yeah.
Crazy. I just summoned her. I just think this is super accessible for young readers, I think. And with the rhyming scheme, I think it makes a really good read aloud. What were your thoughts about this one, Mary Ellen?
I really love the different scenarios they presented here. And the other thing I really loved was just the colors on it.
Yeah.
You know, when I look at this, Pearl, what do you think, sweetie? That they really did a nice job. They're soft, but they're bright at the same time.
Yeah.
So I thought that was great. The rhyming of the text was really nice there. The expressions on the faces in here are wonderful. So
yeah,
you look at Pearl wants to get into the action here.
Or pull you away from it.
Yes. And so it's I just love the message of the book that everything will be okay. Which I think is really important for kids, that even if things aren't going your way and you might have a bad day, you know, you can get yourself out of it and it will be okay. So it's great for working on social emotional skills. So I can really see using this as a targeted, you know, for certain children, or to have it in your house as something to pull out, because they talk about days are happy and days are sad. So, and that's true. Some days are happier than other days, and some days go a little better. So you can talk about that. Hold your mommy, hold your dad, whatever happens, love will stay. And what a great message that is for kids too. So yeah, I thought it was hold the loved ones you love today, everything will be okay. And then I think it's cute. There she is with the cat, and then down here is the raccoon with the baby raccoon.
Some bears.
Yeah, some bears in there.
The quality of light that you mentioned, it's really apparent on that spread. Like there's just such gorgeous colors in this book.
Yeah, and you really see it's a sunset, and they're taking it in, and yeah, it was lovely. So, and I had forgotten she had done the Skippy John Jones book. So and once I realized that, I said, oh, okay, now I recognize the artwork there. But so cute. I mean, some of the faces, the expressions, where they're sleeping on the couch, and then the little one looking up. And
you know, and even his ears are so expressive. When you look through the book, his ears are doing funny things. Like sometimes they're twirling rings like a hula hoop. And I love in this one that he's using them to hold on to his mom and dad.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. I just think it's really, really a fun book for kids.
Yeah. And so you can use it to say, well, remember when that happened to you? How did you feel? So, I mean, you can help identify some feelings with this book. And then, you know, how did you make yourself feel better, or what happened to make you feel better? So I think that that is something, you know, worthwhile to use with this book too. So
definitely,
I can having this in a classroom. Maybe everybody's had a particularly hard day. You could read as a group, or maybe one child has had a particularly bad day, and you can show it to the parents. Say, you might want to take this home and read it, or just to have in your own collection. You know,
I know. I was gonna say,
yeah.
There's always that kid or adult.
So.
I liked the message in this too, that like sometimes even if you can't get yourself out of it, sometimes time will do it. Like on the page where he stubs his toe, and it's just like, you know, okay, but it, you know, in an hour or two, it won't hurt anymore. You know, sometimes that can even be reassuring if you can't make yourself feel better. Like just wait it out, you know, and eventually you'll feel differently. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think that's a good message in the book too. Just give it some time and you'll feel better. Yes. Great. I mean, I've really enjoyed all these books. The artwork in all of them are great, but different.
Yes.
So that's what I thought about not enough lollipops.
Yeah.
Now this one is definitely for a school age group.
Yes.
But I mean, it was just, I mean, and you start off with all the lollipops on the end papers, right? So
Mhm.
I can just see the kids all going, oh, I love them. My favorite flavor is this. But this little girl, Alice, there's a big raffle, school raffle going on, and you get to win this big wagon full of lollipops. And she's so surprised when she wins it. And she's like, wow, when she sees all the lollipops. And so she's excited. She thinks this is wonderful. And then all of a sudden, as she's going through the groups of kids, everybody starts asking, can I have one? Can I have one? And her response is, sure, as if there's enough. So she's feeling pretty happy at that moment. But then people start saying, are there enough? And then she suddenly realizes, oh no, what am I going to do if there aren't enough there? And some of the expressions are priceless. I mean,
That kid cracks me up.
yeah. And I like, there's a lot of diversity in this book too. There's one child in a wheelchair. So, I mean, I thought they did a nice job of, having boys and girls and, just the diversity that you'll see in a school. But everybody starts yelling at her like, oh, well, I should get one. It's my hamster's birthday. And so she starts getting more and more upset. She doesn't know what to do. This is a great book for problem solving. Yeah. And how would you make that decision? Because everybody says, oh, I'm the new kid. I don't know anybody. I should have some. You'll save them for me, right? And finally, she just says, enough. And then she's like, then she works into this whole scenario in her head. How am I supposed to choose who can handle a lollipop, or who deserves one, or who counts? And what if there aren't enough? So, and people are saying, we should form a line, and no, we should form a line over here. And then she's kind of like, wait, I'm the front of the line. So then she hands out all the lollipops, and she's so happy that everybody's getting one and everybody's happy. And she's so happy there are enough. And then all of a sudden, and people are like, oh, well, I guess I got one. And they start apologizing to each other for being mean. And then somebody asks, what will you do with all the extras? And she's like, oh, no. And just the look on her face. Oh, no. So, but really, I thought, yeah, I mean, lots of problem solving in it. There's lots of social emotional issues with the responses of the kids and who should get one. The diverse characters in it makes it appealing to read in a classroom. Did you notice there are no adults in this story? And no adults telling her what she should do.
I know. I didn't notice that.
I thought that was
right.
That was amazing. And so that's what I really liked about it, was that it showed that she's realizing what the problem is, and then she needs to figure out a solution, and she was able to by herself. So I really liked that. What did you think?
I loved this book, and it's funny, like there are no adults in this book, but I feel like adults will find this book really funny.
Yes.
There's a lot of, like, these kids, some of them are so terrible and underhanded about how they make their case. Like, I love this kid. Like, this guy's like, Alice, remember how I never told anyone when you called Mrs. Miller mommy? And I love that, like, there's
a little bit of blackmail going on in the story.
Seriously, and these kids, like, Alice, skip the kindergartners. They can't handle lollipops. They'll just drop them in the dirt. So I love that, like, not only do they advocate for their right for the lollipops, they talk about why the other kids don't deserve them. So I just think kind of the sneakiness is really funny in this book. Yeah, it's great. I loved this one. And I love, like, this horizontal orientation in this book really lends itself to some great illustrations, like when you were pointing out the faces here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like it's just so kind of captivating, I think. I
Mm-hmm.
think like this will be a really fun one for a classroom too, because the kids can like actually see
Mm-hmm.
the faces from across a room, I think. There's
Yeah.
that kid again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and he's the one later that's like, oh, I just remembered I'm not even supposed to have lollipops. Like I
yes.
love kind of the commentary on human nature too, you
Yes.
know, like
Mhm.
when you want the thing, you forget, like, oh yeah, I'm you
I'm
know,
not, yeah.
gluten
Mhm.
intolerant or whatever. And
Yes.
yeah, and then the page where there's one kid that's like, oh, thank you, I got one, and another kid that's mad that he only gets one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like there's always going to be people that aren't going to be satisfied, and then other people that are just like, wow, I'm grateful, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and I think you could have gone through with each of these examples and said to the kids, well, what could you have said instead of that?
Yeah.
What was either good about what they said or what might not have been good about what they said, and what could you have said differently so it doesn't make Alice feel bad. So I think that would be a fun thing to do with some of your older kids, like second and third grade,
Yeah.
with that. So what would you have done if you were Alice in this situation? So there's lots of opportunities for some good discussion on how you would have handled that or what you would have said to Alice.
Right.
And why would that have been a good thing or a not so good thing to say?
Right.
So I thought this was an interesting set for us too, because a lot of them, didn't really have a concrete school activity. It was more lots of discussion around things, which I think we usually don't end up with four that all lend themselves to discussion, but
That's true.
I think it's a good reminder that, yes, we read picture books for fun and for enjoyment, but they can also spur on some good discussion, and just something we should remember. And you could take that opportunity to do that, whether you're at home or in the classroom. How would you feel? What would you do? Just those open-ended questions that really get a good discussion going. So yeah, good group of books. Thank you, Sheri.
Oh, you're so welcome. These were a lot of fun. Yeah, and we've got a good batch for next time too.
Oh, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to next week. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we hope you have a great week and a great month before we see you again next time. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.